Oh, welcome. There you are. Welcome to JW Night Talk. So, if this is your first time, my name is Vern, and you'll find my good wife is at the other end. So, for those of you that may have just subscribed, and perhaps this is you're new to this whole JW Night Talk, I welcome you. And guess what? My wife wanted to say thank you to all of you guys out there that have subscribed. That last video we did pulled in 46 subscribers, and we can tell that there's a lot of people interested in what's going on with the sinking ship. So when we look at this watchtower, it's crumbling. And if you're an elder, get a lawyer. That's what we're all saying at this end. Get a lawyer, because the watchtower has taken its stand, and it's telling everyone that it's sticking by the two-witness rule. We're going to look at this tonight. We're going to look at what's going on in Norway. And we're going to look, first of all, we're just going to peek in and take a look at Michelle Henry. For those of you that don't know who Michelle Henry is, Michelle Henry is, I'll pull her up here on the big screen. So Michelle Henry is the PA Attorney General for the Pennsylvania case. That's all the, and she, she's dealing specifically with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Now we know that since 2018, the Catholics have been, there was something like over 300 priests that were caught and exposed in Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is really going down hard on these cover-ups. So here it is. This is today. This is brand new news, 2:30, July 25th, 2023. Today, the first of over a dozen men charged with child sexual assault crimes while members of Jehovah's Witnesses have pleaded guilty. So Michelle Henry is saying these Jehovah's Witnesses have pleaded guilty. So here's the start of it. The first of over a dozen men charged with sexual assault crimes, and they pleaded guilty. So if you're a Jehovah's Witness, my advice is to get a lawyer. If you're a mother and you know of these things, get a lawyer as well. So the Watchtower will leave you out high and dry as elders, as people, because they've already taken a stand and said, hey, we're a separate corporation, we have no control, you guys are on your own. So even though they're saying to cover up, they told you guys to cover it up. Get a lawyer, because you're going to want to get a hold of those records, and you're going to want to launch a suit against Watchtower for the cover-ups. So this is where it's all going, folks. It's starting. And what's the next article? Well, that was, we'll probably do a video on that. Jehovah's Witness member pleads guilty in Pennsylvania sexual assault. So there's quite an article on there. We'll probably do that separate. It's, it's as I'm scrolling through all this stuff. So there's always lots of stuff, always lots of breaking news when it comes to Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you've been following the court case, Jehovah's Witnesses in Norway, and that's kind of interesting, because you remember back, this is this the first article? Jehovah's Witness Norway, this is when it was kicked off in Norway, and that's when the article came out. This was a few months ago, a year ago maybe. And this is when the Norwegian Jehovah's Witnesses are in court this Wednesday and Thursday. They are fighting the government's decision to remove their registration as a religious community. So that's kind of old news, right? That's it says that's going back the 29th of 03 of 2023. So that's not too old. That's only a few months old, really, this news, this particular article. But I think this has been in the courts since 2022, and this goes back a bit, where the religious community shuns members and they leaves groups. So Norway doesn't like this. Norway does not like the shunning. They do not like the cultiness of the Jehovah's Witness community, and Here's what the Jehovah's Witnesses said. In reaction to the ruling of the state administrator, the Jehovah's Witnesses decided to sue the state. Dagan writes, they requested the district court to postpone the implementation of the decision so they could retain the right to marry couples, as long as the court had not spoken a verdict. So we all know that's come and gone, and they lost. But what's interesting is the Jehovah's Witnesses, the pressure. So the ruling body of the Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide, the Supreme Council, consists of 9 members. And at the end of last year, one of its members, Anthony Morris, published a video in which he condemned the ruling of the state's administrator in Norway. You remember that? He named them. And then here it goes on to say, the community would not budge on its exclusion practice. So it says in brackets, in the future, various governments, just excuse me for a second here, folks, clear my throat. We're still here in forest fire country, so just give me a second. There, I shut my mic off so you didn't have to hear that. Now, you remember Anthony Morris, who's no longer there. He says, in the future, various governments will challenge our freedom to worship. They may try and pressure us to change our view of the scriptures, but we certainly won't do that. How did I do? Did I get close? But that's what he said. And you think the governments aren't watching? The governments all over the world are watching, and they haven't retracted this yet. Sure, they got rid of Morris, but they haven't retracted those words yet. Now, I say yet because they're still fighting. We're going to talk about that in a bit here. Now, in addition, he announced the opening of a new office in Europe that is meant to defend the rights to practice the faith. And we remember that. However, in January, Morris resigned as a member of the Supreme Council, and the Jehovah's Witnesses have not made the reason for this public. So that was one of the articles that we had dealt with on this channel. And then we talked about Norwegian Jehovah's Witnesses lose the temporary right to marry. So here it is. The Oslo District Court has stripped the community of Jehovah's Witnesses of their right to seal marriages. They lose their temporary registration as a religious community. Now, we put out that video, and we got a lot of people subscribing and wanting to follow this news. So this is important news all over the earth. Why? It's a domino effect. So all we need is one country, and then we have the next ones. What's the next ones? Norway hits the Netherlands. So now the Netherlands hits Germany, and Germany, Canada, and we have all of this stuff happening in the U.S. The U.S. is kind of a domino all of its own, all 50 states, like each state kind of acts like a country in the U.S. That's what we're finding. Maybe the protest will help. Maybe there's something, we get Henry making a precedent in one state, and maybe the government can make that a blanket thing for all of the other states. That's what we're hoping. And if you haven't subscribed to the Attorney General Henry, you can. We showed that in another video. Now, the JW lawyers went to court at the end of last year to request a temporary registration as a religious community. Excuse me. So they could continue sealing marriages. So at the end of December, the judge granted them this request. However, with the new ruling, this benefit is also immediately revoked. So then there's a legal battle that went on, and the theology, the lawyer Anders Stay Risdal, who represented the Jehovah's Witness in court, says that the decision is a big disappointment for the community. And during the court case, he stated that no other religious community has been stripped of its statute due to the statement's assessment of the belief and practice. No one else has had their theology censored the way Jehovah's Witnesses are exposed. And in an email, Vartland, the lawyer, writes that the court itself states that the loss of the right to marry is a strong intervention. However, the court does not find that other harmful effects, such as increased stigmatization, are due to the loss of registration. So the court disagreed with that. So the legal proceedings around the Jehovah's Witnesses started when the Norwegian state administrator ruled that the community violated the Religious Communities Act on free expression by their exclusionary practice. And that's disfellowshipping. So when a member decides to break with the community and the faith, he or she is shunned and socially isolated, which we all know is an archaic way of doing things, and it's not even biblically based. So this isolation or shunning or exclusion, Rutherford and the original founders of the religion, Russell and Rutherford, were against it. And then eventually Nora brought this in. So this was not always a part of the statute of the religion. This is not always the way the religion has operated. This came in mid-term when the cult leader, Nathan Knorr, took leadership. And he brought this in, and it stayed in, and the governing body has kept this in until this date. So that's why when we look at some of the history, and it's a little clouded, Jehovah's Witnesses have hired Massimo. You know, the Massimo, I ran that on some of my other videos. He's the vampire, he's the head of the vampire, one of the heads of the vampire stuff into ghost hunting and things like that. And I could be speaking out of turn here, but he is a humanitarian. He shoots for freedom of rights and stuff. Jehovah's Witnesses have him on their website as of 2017. They have a long-standing relationship with Massimo. This is not something new. So they have went out and hired this guy amongst a few others to build a paper. And the religious paper is to encourage the Netherlands now to that we're a good religion, we do things right, but they're not taking out their shunning, this exclusion. And you see, the Catholics don't do it, the Mormons don't do this. You know, they have forms of it, but they do not do it when a member just leaves the church. If you left any of the churches at the Muslim temple or whatever, and you met your old brother on the street, he'd give you a hug. You know, the old Mormon or Catholic, they give you a hug. There's none of this exclusion. It's only Jehovah's Witnesses that do it to this degree. And that's why they're being targeted. The governments know that this is cultish, you know, next to Scientologists. You know, they know that. So here it says children are not exempted from this exclusionary practice, and therefore the state administrator also has ruled that Jehovah's Witnesses violated children's rights. And we're talking about our children here. And we're not even talking about forcing them not to have a blood transfusion if it means their life or death. We're just talking about shunning and the damage that does to children. So the Norwegian government, they're up on their education. They know how the brain works and how the shunning and all of these things work and cause damage within the human psyche. So therefore, the governmental body decided that the community should no longer be registered as a religious community. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So, of course, everything gets appealed. You know, it's all fair, and everyone has these rights to appeal. So the Jehovah's Witness spokesman, Fabian Fond, is disappointed by the decision, and he writes in an email to Dagan. At this same time, he states that the community is confident that they will win the next battle when the case goes to court later this year. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the next battle. This is what we've just brought you up to date on the case. So now we're going to take a look at the rest of the story. And I'm going to blow this up and put it on the big screen here so you guys can see it here. There. So I might even try this screen here. Yeah, that's a bit better screen for reading and everything. So here we go. This is thanks to Jan Frode Nilsson, and we follow him on Twitter. He's an ex-Jehovah's Witness. I kind of like his, this is right on his site. He says, I met a man. Now you're online, everyone's online there. Tell me what you think this means. This is an ex-Jehovah's Witness, Jan Frode Nilsson, and here he's giving us here, he's translated the newspaper article from Norway to English, so we can deliver this here. But here's what's on his site. He's an interesting guy. He says, I met a man who lost his mind. In some lost place I had to find. Follow me, this wise man said, but he walked behind. Interesting, eh? The wise man walked behind, but the wise man said to follow him. So how could you follow the wise man when the wise man walked behind? And when he says, I met a man who lost his mind in some lost place I had to find, is he talking about himself? I know when I joined the Jehovah's Witness cult, I lost my mind for 30 years. And in some lost place, I had to find my mind. And then follow me, the wise man said, but he walked behind. So a lot of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we are walking behind. We're not in the middle of all of this stuff. We're not in the Watchtower crumbling. There was a red cord hung out the window, and we climbed out. We didn't climb in, we climbed out, escaped. And we got out of there. And so we're walking behind. We're looking in on what's happening here. So here it is. Thanks to Jan Frode Nilsson from Norway. And he says, breaking. Watchtower tried to appeal their injunction lawsuit, loss against Norwegian government. And their appeal has been rejected. So this is new news, folks. We're going to give you the rest of the story here. I did open the article up. It was in Norwegian tongue. So he translated it here for us. Jehovah's Witnesses lost appeal case, do not get temporary marriage license. Ruling. Jehovah's Witnesses wanted to keep the right to marry temporarily after they lost it last year. And now they have been refused by 2 courts. So this is the second time. So last year it became known that Jehovah's Witnesses will lose both state subsidies for 2021 as well as their registration as a religious community. So this is going to cost them some money, probably in the millions, these state subsidies. And Jehovah's Witnesses disagree with the decision and have chosen to sue the state. Yeah, they disagree with this, so we're going to sue you guys. So the trial will take place in the Oslo District Court in January next year. So that's going to be January of 2024. And we're going to be able to see what happens in this court case when Jehovah's Witnesses sue the government. They're suing the government because the government's not giving them money. You see, this is about money. Every year they give religions all over the world, governments give them piles of money. And that's why it's so important that they lose this status. And why shouldn't they? They for the 30 years I was in the religion, they programmed us that all the religions out there are evil. So why should they be getting clergy class like all the other religions? Why should they be getting funding like all the other religions? If they want to be different and separate from the world or all the other religions they call Christendom, then they should be. They're not a Christian religion. If you worship Jesus, if you just worship Jesus and you say, no, Jehovah gave the kingdom to Jesus, I'm going to worship Jesus. I'm going to pray to Jesus. Jesus, Jehovah, same thing. Tomatoes, potatoes. That's how you can look at this, right? If you did that in a JW Kingdom Hall, you are in an elders meeting now, and you will get disfellowshipped. How do I know that? Go on to Rick Farron's channel and ask, is it Scott? He's on Sundays or something, Saturdays, Scott, and there's two guys, 2 ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. And one of them got disfellowshipped for worshiping Jesus. And at one time, you could worship Jesus. At one time, Jesus was on the Herald, the Watchtower Herald, when Russell was running the show, when Rutherford, the Consolation, and even the early Watchtower had Jesus. But we did a video on this not too long ago. They pulled Jesus right out of the story. It's all Jehovah. They've usurped Jesus. And it's no wonder that Jesus is upset. So there's two states here, right? When I talk here, I'm talking as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, used to believe the same thing. I'm talking to the audience the same thing. But that's if you believe in Jesus and the Jesus story. That's a whole nother discussion. So for the discussion on JW Night Talk, we're coming from the standpoint, heck, I don't mind using their Bible and showing them right from their Bible all of the things that aren't true and how they twisted things here and there. But let's get back to this here. Now, they'll lose their registration. Jehovah's Witnesses disagree with the decision and have chosen to sue the state. And the trial will take place next year. So until then, the religious community wants, you see, they want temporary registration, which means, among other things, that they are performing marriage ceremonies. We want that. This is how they are. They haven't, the state said, are you going to change your exclusion practice? Anthony Morris gets up and says, no, not if hell freezes over. We're not changing it. And now they're demanding, we want this. But here's what it says. But they have been refused by the Oslo District Court, Vartland wrote in April. And Jehovah's Witnesses therefore appealed the ruling to the Borgarding Court of Appeal. And now they face resistance from them too. They reject the case. And the religious community must also pay NOK 16,000 in legal costs to the state. Now, I don't know how much 16,000 in Norwegian money is. Maybe you guys can help us out online. But they're paying for it. They're paying the legal costs. When you take someone to court and you lose, you pay the legal costs. If you have just reason that the court made a mistake and you win, well, then you don't have to pay the legal costs. I think that's how it is. Does a court pay your legal costs? Maybe the court would pay yours too. Okay, so it says, this is clear from the ruling dated June 30th, which Vartland has seen. Interventional measures. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses defender lawyer Anders Reisdal has previously justified the appeal as follows. Now, of course, they appealed this, right? So here it is. We are appealing the district court's decision because the damaging effects for the Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious community, as well as the individual members, are significant and far-reaching. We note that the district court itself states that losing the right to perform marriage ceremonies, a right all other religious communities have, is an intrusive measure, Rysdale wrote in an email to Vartland in May. So they're whining because they lost everything, and it's not fair, and you're treating all the other religions better than us, and look at us, poor us. You see, but they're not going to change. All the other religions don't have this exclusion problem. So here it says, in addition, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that the state's decision on deregistration has led and will continue to lead to stigmatization of the religious community. We believe that the legal status of Jehovah's Witnesses must be frozen until the main case has been dealt with by the courts. There is no harmful effect for the state or others from maintaining the status quo until further notice, argued Rysdale. So here they want the state to freeze everything until January, until it goes to court. And they're saying no. And they lost their money. They lost their money this year, so they're feeling it. So Fabian Fawn, spokesman for Jehovah's Witness Information Department in Scandinavia, expresses disappointment that the Court of Appeal has rejected their case. So I don't know what that is, that their lawyer, right? Yeah. So due to the negative consequences, at least for the moment, we are naturally disappointed by the decision from the Court of Appeals, writes Fond in an email to Vartland. So Fond is their lawyer, yeah. And Rysdale is the state's lawyer. I had that wrong, sorry. So Rysdale believes it should all be frozen until it goes to court again. So let's see what happens. Fawn further writes, and this is the Jehovah's Witness lawyer, that they are currently reviewing the court's reasoning to assess their legal options, and Fond has faith that they will regain the right to marry in the future. And so this is what their lawyers think. So the Norwegian authorities attempt to deregister Jehovah's Witnesses as a religious community is a litmus test for the protection of religious freedom in Norway. And this case is of great importance to all Norwegian citizens, and we have confidence that the Oslo District Court's thorough processing of our central cases in January 2024 will restore Jehovah's Witnesses with full rights Fond. So that's what their lawyer figures. So their lawyer figures that this will all flip-flop in January. So as of now, they lost 2 appeals, and now they're frozen. They can't marry. They lost their funding this year, and next year it'll go to court again. So we'll be able to see what's happening. So what's happening in the community? Well, you see how really, really happy these people are after reading this, and this is the kind of stuff that's coming out online. So this is kind of good news. It's actually not. It's more than kind of good news. This is really, really good news for all of us, activists, for all of us watching this program, even if you're a JW, because all of Babylon the Great, if we're to read the Bible together properly, is supposed to fall. If we're reading it the way we were taught, it's all supposed to fall. And if Jehovah's Witnesses are hiding pedophiles, discriminating, and they're doing it outside of biblical authority, and these 9 men are really idol worshippers. They're idols, and the people worship them. They've taken a position of being idols. It's so easy to see. And all the Jehovah's Witnesses worship and listen to the governing body blindly. Even if you have to paint a fence and you don't know why you're painting it, you do it blindly because the governing body tells you to. So this is all changing, and things are moving ahead. So I'm going to take a look at the live stream and see who's all on. We have a few people on, so thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. I see the regular group. There's too many people for me to list, and what's that? Okay, so K-Fred, hello. SDR, Clyde Bell, Mimi. Who else? Cindy Lynn. Corruption Ledger. SDR. Yaya's Toy Bean. That's a new one. Nice catch to that name. corruptionledger.com, Mimi. So, Beverly Harward, yes, hello. So I see a lot of people online. I'm glad. Emma Charles, yeah, that's a new one, right? And good. Cindy Lynn, I said that already. Yeah, there. I think I named everyone. If I didn't catch your name, I apologize. I like to catch everyone's name. I thank you for being online, and thank you for chatting. And if you haven't yet had a chance to chat, just join in the community. It's not that scary. Even if you're a Jehovah's Witness, we were all Jehovah's Witnesses. We all understand. We all think similar. We just got outside of it. When we're in the Jehovah's Witness religion, I felt I was doing my best to do God's work. In fact, I was talking to my wife about this. And when I was in the religion, I don't remember any of the governing body's names. I don't remember them. I remember I was out, and I was pioneering, and this was towards the end, 2012. And I was talking to an elder, and he says, well, do you know so-and-so? And I says, no. And he says, you don't? He says, that's one of the governing bodies. He says, I thought you would know them all. You're a pioneer. You should know all of them. And so I went home and I guess looked them up, but I couldn't remember any of their names. But now the governing body, they're movie stars. Like everyone knows their names. Stephen Lett, he's Let's Be a Millionaire. Stephen Lett, he's a millionaire. So they're all movie stars and very prominent figures in the JW community. Everyone knows the governing body by face, by name. They hear them every month. They get up and give a speech. So what do you guys think? Do you think the governing body is going to stick around? Do you think it's going to be here for a while? I have some ideas, and I think it's going to change. I think they're going to get rid of governing bodies, this governing body. I think they might go back to their board members. Now, what I want to research, and if any of you guys have info, and I know it's out there, we're just going to do our own, the JW facts, lots of research. But if you have something on this, I'd appreciate it. I believe the governing body has shareholders. So there's something like 40 or 50 shareholders, because everything's a corporation. So they list all these shareholders and they're kept secret. And I think it could go back to more of a shareholder kind of company. And they have a spokesman for all the shareholders, which is like a president. And they may get rid of the governing body. Look at all the mistakes the governing body's making. Because these guys kind of think they're like God in a way, and they can just get up like Anthony Morris there can get up and just say what he wants to say, and then later on they have to get together and kick him out. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they scale it down and change, and how they fight the CSA. It's going to be an interesting ride. Now I'm going to move over to. We're at the center of our program here. And I want to go back and two people. Some of the information we got, I'm going to put you on my YouTube screen here. We get from different places. Now, Watchtower Help admin, I want to talk about them today. They're almost at 1,000. They're at 946 subscribers. They got 9 videos. If you haven't heard of Watchtower Help admin before, this individual is anonymous, cannot for certain reasons be known. This individual, part of their story is they worked in Bethel in the writing committee. Now when you look at the work that went into this site, it's a lot of work. All this work is free. The individual that did this work, and he says his name, call him Frank Annan. Frank Anonymous, Frank Annan. That's what he says. So we'll call him Frank, and thank you, Frank, for all your work. There's thousands upon thousands of hours. We go over to the Watchtower Help Club. That's another one of his sites right here, and it has a list of all his videos here. And to join the Watchtower Help Club, it's actually quite cheap. It's free. There's no cost. You just type in Watchtower Help Club. Now, what I like about Watchtower Help Club, it's like, if you're an elder at the Kingdom Hall, it's like going to a library and getting all your material. So if I go over to this next screen, this is like all the outlines for giving talks. So some of you guys wonder, where do I get my information? I just pick one of the outlines here. So I invite all of you guys, go to watchtowerhelp.club. And you can get there just by watchtowerhelp.club, or right off to his site. If you go right on to his Watchtower Help admin site, if you're a YouTube fan, you're on YouTube right now, just go to this site, go into the About screen, and there's a link here, right here, that'll take you right to Watchtower Help Club. So I'm right in the Watchtower Help Club. It takes you right here. And then you wonder how I got all those outlines? Well, you got to click another link. It's right here. So you click this link and it brings you over to all the outlines. So if you're, I was never ever an elder. Now I did work in the congregation as a ministerial servant for a couple of years. And they'd have outlines, right? Similar thing. Like you'd have all these outlines and you could kind of choose an outline you'd want to give a talk on. And they used me a lot. I was in a small congregation in northern Alberta. They only had 30 publishers, so they just needed brothers. I know I wasn't really probably qualified, and I lost being a ministerial servant after 2 years, because I'd take an outline on faith and I would change it. I wouldn't use all the stuff, and I'd use some Anthony Robbins stuff and different stuff. And pretty soon you get deleted as a ministerial servant if you do stuff like that. They're very strict on their outlines. Now, what I like about Watchtower Help Club, he always sends me a thank you when I take his outline and I bastardize him and I don't say the words right, and I use some of my own stuff and his stuff and JW Facts. They all say thank you. No one ever reproves you for taking an outline of theirs and delivering it. So I really like Watchtower Help Club. Today, I think, as a little bit of a break from me, we're going to go over here back to my Night Talk studio, and I'm going to put this on my big screen, and I'm going to play you guys a movie. I don't think anybody's heard this movie. This is one of his first movies that he made. And again, let's give him a big thank you. If you haven't subscribed, go to his site and subscribe. It'd be nice to see him get over 1,000 soon, and then he'll probably feel like he wants to make more movies, because he really makes good movies. Now here's the first one. We're going to watch the first movie here, and I'm going to get set up. I'm going to take myself off the screen and just get this movie set up for you guys to watch it. Here we go.
Hello, brothers and sisters, to our very first episode of We warmly welcome you, brothers and sisters, to our very first episode of an all-new series of broadcasts that we will be referring to as XJW Broadcasting. And for this new project, we have many new encouraging experiences from our ex-brothers and sisters around the world.
Thank you, Brother Let, for that beautiful and moving intro. Now, brothers and sisters, I know what's coming at Armageddon. A lot of dead people. It's gonna be numbing. Now, you ever smell the smoke from a barbecue when you're cooking a hot dog out on the grill and it pops open when it's done and it smells delicious? And you grab your ketchup and your mustard, and then you grab your relish, and you put the dog in the bun, and then you eat it, and it's just delicious. And then, brothers, you compare it with a nice tall glass of Macallan Scotch, and just keep on drinking the Scotch until you could barely even pronounce your words anymore. Kinda like me, brothers. I'm completely shit-faced right now on this stage. In fact, I'm actually quite in danger of falling. I'm an older gentleman, and so I'm gonna leave the rest of this broadcast to you, Brotherlet, because I'm just too drunk.
Thank you for your heartwarming words, Brother Morris. Now, what I'm sure he was trying to say is that Armageddon will be Jehovah's Heavenly Spirit anointed barbecue of the entire human race, or at least those of us who will not heed his clear direction set out in his word, the Bible. Brothers, it will be the most violent and epic genocidal slaughter that the human race has seen in all of history. Now, as Jehovah's Spirit-appointed cleanup crew to his angelic barbecue, we may at times ask ourselves, what will we be doing with the bodies? And we the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, are very proud to announce our new light teaching on this exact issue. We have dug deeply into our Bibles, and we believe that we have found the answer. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 31 says, "Therefore, whether you are eating or drinking or doing anything else, do all things for God's glory." Yes, brothers, we want to give glory to our Lord. And even something so simple as being grateful for our senses, such as the sense of taste when we eat a delicious meal, may bring glory to Him. And another scripture at Ecclesiastes 3:13 reads, "Also that everyone should eat and drink and find enjoyment for all his hard work. It is the gift of God." Now, brothers, we believe that the clear answers given in God's Word spell out that we will be eating them. Yes, brothers, we have been invited to the barbecue. In other words, we will eat them. Eat them. Eat them. The vanquished enemies of Jehovah will be devoured not only by the birds of the heavens and the maggots of the earth, but also by us, God's children and faithful slave. Now, we have a surprise guest whom we have never introduced to you before, but due to the advancement of technology in the 21st century, we are now able to introduce you to our founder, Pastor Charles Taze Russell.
Fuck off. You should have left me dead.
Thank you, brother. Now, we would like to ask you for some of your thoughts regarding the many changes over the years to your Bible student faith.
I think you've twisted my life's work into a dark, tyrannical regime that twists and misunderstands the Lord's words in the Bible and spins your own personal views into an intricate web of lies. I predicted the end would come in 1914. I was wrong, and I died, and I think you should give up.
Thank you, Brother Russell, for those heartwarming and encouraging words. And, of course, we thank you, ex-brothers and sisters, for joining us on this program. We love you dearly and hope to see you again soon. From the world headquarters of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, this is XJW Broadcasting.
It's hilarious. Hilarious. I should get off. You guys can read that. Well, sorry for jumping in there a little too quick, but that was just too funny. Too funny.
We warmly welcome.
Good thing I had my mic off. I had my mic on for a bit there, but I turned it off. How he got Russell's face in the little box talking, I don't know how he did that. Like this, Frank Annan, good work, Frank. Frank doesn't get paid a cent. Frank doesn't have any patrons. These videos take thousands of hours to build each animation. You have to build each animation, each thing to put the voice in, to get the voice like that to mimic the governing body in that manner. All of that work is truly, truly the work of an artist, a creator, someone that's very, very talented. And we want to give a lot of thanks to Frank. Now, how we can help Frank and thank him is just by bumping this 947 up to 1,000 really quick. And there's about 100 of us online. Maybe a lot of you guys are already subscribed. But that's all. Frank's not asking for anything. And he's done a pile of work for us. He's built us a library. We'll keep playing them, not tonight, but over time. And a complete list of articles that you can go to. And if this is your first time online and you have a question, you want to know about the 144,000 versus a great crowd, this guy's a scholar with the Bible, a scholar with his writings. He's anonymous. We don't know who he is. He used to work with the Watchtower, but now he's taken all of his talent and he's put it out there for you and me to help people coming out of the Watchtower. So thanks again to Frank. Now we're going to move on. The next part of the program is here, and we're going to talk about the Watchtower's political involvement and what they're doing. And we're going to jwfacts.com. Again, there's a lot of the artists on here are ex-Jehovah's Witness. They're anonymous. They've got thousands of hours into these websites. There's no advertising on these websites. And it's all done out of love to help us as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses coming out of the religion. So the Watchtower's political involvement is what really blew my mind. I didn't realize they're into politics as heavily. So this article discusses the Watchtower Society's involvement with the courts, political lobbying, and the government assistance. Now, if you look at the courts, there's a judiciary court system. It takes you to a link, and it shows you all the legal cases. Jimmy Swaggart was taken to court. It shows that regarding paying taxes on profit derived from sales of religious material. So this is what made the Watchtower have to go to court or realize that they had to quit charging. At one time, I used to charge for Watchtower and the Awake magazines, and we used to sell subscriptions. Perhaps you did too. So you see that there's a lot of information. We're not going to get into all of this, but then there's political lobbying. So the government lobbying in representative democratic politics, the process can be influenced through voting in elections or lobbying. So lobbying by pressuring decision makers is considered least democratic, carrying on ethical issues and concerns about corruption, yet is taken advantage of by the Watchtower. Most witnesses are unaware of the lobbying being instigated out by the Watchtower leaders. Direct examples are its involvement with organizations such as OSCE, United Nations. Watchtower was a United Nations associate NGO between 1992 and 2001, likely for political influence. And even after the public knowledge of this led to rescinding their membership. So once this became public, they rescinded their membership. So Watchtower had continued to petition the United Nations, such as a 2009 submission regarding human rights in Egypt. And then there's New York lobbying. I'm just going to show you all the lobbying. We're not going to cover it all. So there's New York City lobbying, probably because of their tunnels. I don't know. I didn't look at all this. So then there's a U.S. Department of State lobbying, Bulgarian government lobbying, OSCE lobbying. What is that? OSCE? It's the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE. So a person repeatedly attending these political events is Mr. Marcel Gillett. A search in the Watchtower Media website in 2011 showed his prominent status within the organization working on public relations in Europe. So the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, JW.org, the Watchtower as we know them, they have influence and members secretly working all over the world on stuff like this. So look at all the work these guys put into this. Non-governmental organizations, all of the lobbying. So someone on the inside probably has information, knows all about this. Now it's public. And that's probably why a lot of people are anonymous on these on these sites. So we're going to go back. Lobbying, they're big involved in lobbying. Now we're going to look at government assistance. And we're going to look at what it says here. Now, the screen could be a little better, eh? Let me just see here. I'll see if I can pull the border out a bit here for you. There. There, I can move over here a bit. Okay, so this government assistance one, this is interesting. We're right down here. Jehovah's Witnesses follow Jesus' advice at Luke 20 and 25 to pay back Caesar's things to Caesar and pay tax. I worked for a number of years in taxation and can say that most of my Jehovah's Witness clients tried to be honest in paying what they legally owed. They therefore are legitimately entitled to government assistance with regards to unemployment benefits, medical assistance, and pensions. However, it is an offense when Watchtower degenerates, no, what the heck's that word? Denigrates. My English is very bad. When Watchtower puts down the government, that's what that word means. It's on the tip of my tongue. So it's offensive when the Watchtower puts down the government and in the same breath tries to maximize the assistance they receive from the government to the point of arranging the elders to ensure each member of the congregation get their full entitlement. This is exactly what happened regarding the government assistance during COVID-19 restrictions. A letter from Jehovah's Witnesses Disaster Relief Committee 8/25 of 2020 to selected bodies of elders assigned to the COVID-19 TSM blah 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 food distribution program. Here's what it says. Can you see that? Dear brothers. It says, Dear brothers, as we move ever closer to the end of this system, we know that the structure of this world will continue to crumble. However, it is with confidence that we echo the Apostle Paul's feelings, who will separate us from the love of the Christ. Who will separate us? Will tribulation or distress or persecution or hunger? On the contrary, in all these things we are coming off completely victorious, according to Romans. To date, your vigilant efforts to assist your brothers and sisters with practical aid has served as a visible evidence of Jehovah's love for his people. And the article says, after describing the world as crumbling and how hunger would never separate followers from Jesus' love, the letter goes on to explain that the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, provides food boxes for people in financial hardship and for the elders to promptly submit an intake form to ensure all eligible Jehovah's Witnesses get their free box despite any government information that may be packaged within the free food. So the body of elders, so here they are, taking advantage of the government handouts at COVID. And I heard that they were even taking, I know in Canada here, the government was giving out so much money not to go to work and do stuff. I heard that they were taking that money in Bethel. So I wonder if it covers here. The body of elders will be asked to provide account of the number of households from your congregation that meet the description provided in point 3. So point 3 was what? Okay. Did I miss something? No. So on the online intake form will be provided to use in a request for your congregation's count of qualified households. The body of elders is to assign an elder to promptly submit this intake form each month. Additional details will be provided on the form. The branch office is aware that each box may include printed information from the government. This does not require any action by the congregation. So here they're telling we're going to get you guys food, fill out these forms, we're going to go to the government and get the free food, but disregard anything the government says in the information in the box. Here it says, it is hoped that this additional assistance direction will increase the use and effectiveness of both these valuable arrangements. We again express our admiration for all of you doing. You are the men described at Jeremiah 23:4, shepherds who really shepherd. So here the governing body is saying you are shepherds who really shepherd by going out and taking advantage of the government's freebies. The Watchtower is doing nothing. The Watchtower is giving zero. That's what the Watchtower does in humanitarian situations. They give zero and they go steal from the government. Okay. Here's what J.W. Fax says, the writer. The writer says, what a perfect fit for the saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Now, is political involvement acceptable? It is acceptable and beneficial for people to be actively involved in politics. The Bible is filled with examples of faithful servants of God that were exceptionally rich or involved in politics. Mordecai, and Joseph were influential, high-ranking politicians in the worldly governments. And Jesus said to render leaders their due at Matthew. There are examples of Jesus paying tax, and Matthew recommended if someone is under authority and presses you into service for a mile, go with them 2 miles. And Paul said to be subject to superior authorities at Romans 13:7, and to pray for the earthly governments. So there you have it. We don't hate governments. The Bible doesn't talk like that. That's governing body. That's Watchtower talking. So Watchtower claims followers must be neutral in order to demonstrate their belief that only God's kingdom can solve man's problems. So this line of reasoning is astonishingly flawed. Voting for a political party does not undermine Jehovah's Witness' claim that only God's government can solve man's problems. People vote for the lesser of the two evils, not the expectation that any government party can solve every problem. Voting is important to ensure that the government party most beneficial to the people and organizations such as the Watchtower is selected. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with voting. And this is a Watchtower negative indoctrination, a false indoctrination. So the conclusion is, the purpose of this section is less than a criticism of the Watchtower's involvement in politics and more a highlight of the hypocrisy of an organization that has different standards for the leaders and lay persons. Jehovah's Witnesses school children endure embarrassment and humiliation sitting whilst other students stand during remembrance days, anthems, and flag salutes due to the political nature of such occasions. Yet at the same time, the leaders actively attend and lobby political events. What a bunch of hypocrites, right? Watchtower Corporation holds associated NGO status with political organizations and send representatives to political inquiries. If Watchtower can send attendees to influence government on matters of religious tolerance, why are individual witnesses forbidden from voting or holding political cards at the risk of torture and death? Good question. And see Mexico versus Malawi. There's a link right here. So with JW Facts, you can keep reading and never stop because there's links and you keep going from one article to another. And it's an eye-opener everywhere you read. You know, this is all true stuff. This is yet another area where illogical Watchtower doctrine has created unnecessary suffering for members and shown the hypocrisy of the leadership. Political neutrality is at its odds with the long-term prosperity of the Watchtower organization and will no doubt be another area in which the rules loosen over coming decades. So we're going to go back on this. We've hardly even started this article, but it's the Watchtower's political involvement. And yeah, it's kind of an eye opener once we look at all this. I don't know about you guys online. You know, perhaps a lot of you guys have been, I guess, awake for a lot of years, and you know about a lot of this stuff. For me, I've been awake for a little over a year now. You know, completely waking up, and I'm finding as I'm reading each day, I'm waking up even more. There's more indoctrination or more of these lies that are unveiled that we didn't know about. So yeah, Watchtower is a political company, and they are involved in politics. So there's a lot of stuff here. I don't know if I want to get into it all tonight. We got into a lot of it. Jimmy Swaggart, government lobbying, United Nations, New York City lobbying. What did they do there? Watchtower hires lobbyists to influence building applications. Can you believe that? A search of the New York government lobby search as of August 2014 shows an extensive list of New York properties Watchtower has used lobbyists for. In one example from 2004, Watchtower paid Fred Frank Harris, Shriver and Jacobson $59,000 to lobby for a zone change and development permit for 85 J Street. Wow. That's how they do it, eh? So folks, I don't know, for a lot of you online, you know now about the Be Free 2023. It's coming up on October 31st. And it's where there's a licensed protest in front of the White House in the U.S. And it's lobbying, basically, protesting. It's licensed, so it's not, and these things are friendly. It's a friendly protest. And we're lobbying with whoever's against child molestation. So hopefully Michelle Henry comes. Hopefully someone invites her. And hopefully she knows we can get her on our side. And that helps. So yeah, the Watchtower, they lobby. They might have someone lobbying. I doubt it. Not there at our protest. So, but Watchtower's political involvement is huge. We haven't even touched it, this article, but we touched just a little bit of it here. So I'm going to go back to my Night Talk screen and take that off there. And I'm going to take a look at the live stream and see who we have on. So we have a few more people on. And I want to say hi to everyone and thank you again for all your support. My good wife wanted me to mention this, that thanks to all the new subscribers out there. And the other thing that I was going to say is we are a small channel, and I don't know how many is going to watch this video, but it really helps a small channel if you do subscribe, like, and share, and it helps get our videos out to more people. So what we have done in our channel is we've monetized it, as you know, and I was hoping to pay my internet bill and a few lights, and now I got to get a faster computer and things like that, but what we're doing with the revenue, we don't make a whole lot, not at this point, but my good wife, YouTube has a little deal, and you can sink all your revenue into advertising, so we're done that to spread the channel out, because it's like anything else. You get going, you can grow this stuff organically, but it can take 10 years, or you can sink your revenue. YouTube just wants all the revenue, really. But it's a business. And so they said, okay, well, tell us what you want to do. And we say we want to go to these places. So now we've learned that we can tag in all the Jehovah's Witnesses and all the different words on our taglines. So we can do it in French, we can do it in Japan, all the Japanese, all the different languages that we want to target. And then we can tell YouTube, okay, send commercials out there. And YouTube will. And so YouTube will go in and just use up all of our revenue. So if you're donating, you're not donating to get us rich. You're helping to grow the channel and to get this information out to the whole world. That's what we're trying to do with this. And we're using YouTube's own program to do it. Thanks to my good wife. I could never do any of this. Anyways, I've been having a lot of fun with the channel, and I hope we do get more online, and we do get more people coming. So if you guys want to hang in there, we can watch another video and watch another movie. It's really up to you guys. This is a place to hang out, and I'm just looking down the list. These are some of the early movies of Watchtower Help Club. And I think what would be a good movie is the Song of the Governing Body. Have you guys heard that? We did play that. What about How an Overlapping Generation was revealed? I'm going to show you on my big screen. You guys pick. What do you guys like to see? And I'll play one of these movies if you haven't seen it. So there's this one we just watched is the very first one, The Song of the Governing Body. The overlapping generation, the near-death experience is one of my favorite. If you haven't watched that one, this is a really good movie to go in and watch. And you can learn a lot from it. You'll relearn the whole blood doctrine through that movie. And this is the stand-up comedy of the governing body. That's a good one. And The Last Day's Song, there's another one of the governing body. And now we get into the episodes, kind of like the Caleb and Sophie kind of thing, but he has different names. So really brilliantly done. There was 3 videos on that. So hopefully there will be more of those coming too. But again, these videos take thousands of hours, and this Frank has a passion to do this. So let's do the next video, the Song of the Governing Body. We're gonna put this on here on big. I'm gonna pause it here, and then I'm gonna disappear. Yeah, my desktop audio's on. Okay.
Yes, we are slaves, it's so true. But what knows that make of you? Your slaves are slaves, the lowest run, like flies upon the rankest flood. You can't live life the way you please, 'cause you must follow our decrees. Don't think of independent thought. Remember you've been sold and bought. We tell you what to do and say, and you must listen and obey. To keep a grip on you secure, we've banned the boss, take literature.
I'm melting! Melting! Oh,
In Canada, we're clearly not. We make mistakes an awful lot. Still, it's your beauty and your like to act as if we know are right. Along again, and we soon ride to kill all those not on our side. We slaughter pigs and babies too. Our blood is ours, we run them through. So give up your free will today, or it's your life you surely pay. The end is coming, it's so near. In fact, praise God, it now is here.
Oh, did you get a laugh out of that? I did. Anyways, he's hilarious, this guy. Hilarious. So we're going to bring an end to our program here, I think. I could go on, but I'm just bore you guys. Okay, here I'm going to bring me back to my Night Talk screen and get rid of that. There we are. We're back on our screen. So I think the most exciting news for me these last few days is all the loses. The Watchtower's losing. They're losing cases. The Britain man, they lost to. This was a little guy that, you know, just an ex-Jehovah's Witness, that built a website. And so they sued him. The lawyers in the U.S. sued this guy in Britain, and he fought it himself, Mr. Moore, and he won. And the judge says, yeah, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. So the Watchtower, they're not winning all their cases. In fact, they're winning. I haven't heard of any wins, but I'm not looking for their wins. But they're losing, and they're losing in Pennsylvania. Today, over a dozen Jehovah's Witnesses pled guilty. They're losing in Norway. As of yesterday, they lost their second appeal in Norway. And now the Netherlands, they're next. So here Jehovah's Witnesses hired Count Dracula and such to fight their battle in Netherlands. So it's a losing battle. It really looks like the dog that's returned to its vomit. And I think Watchtower Help Club here really spelled that out in that video. You know, they showed how Russell was in the little head there. Russell didn't set up any organization like what they're doing today. It's completely gone against the way the organization was set up. It wasn't even set up to be an organization. It was set up just to, they make decisions in the church, in any, like every other church has done that way. So anyways, it's been an interesting ride, interesting journey. And my wife and I, when we started this show, we thought we would, I was just going to fix my faith and just kind of correct things, and now it eventually went on, and I thought it'd be nice to leave a little trail for my kids. You know, they'll eventually wake up. And my son phoned the other day and it sent me a picture of him with a fish. So hopefully someday we'll get him to come on the show. And as more and more Jehovah's Witnesses are waking up, we get more and more new faces and new names that we see on the show. So we want to welcome everyone. And if you're angry at first, that's normal. It's normal to get angry. It's normal to be upset when you find out that your lifelong belief is being hampered, or it's not correct, or there's something wrong with it, and you're finding these glitches, and you're going to find them. And it takes a lot of time. And we have a wonderful community here at JW Night Talk every Tuesday night. And you can come in here and chat. You can just listen from the background, whatever you wish. We have different topics that we cover. And then we also have a live show like this on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And the same thing, and we cover a little different venue. We try to pull in some new people, actors, new channels. We look at sects. We call it the Saturday Sect Show, S-E-C-T. Don't get that wrong. And, you know, religions are like sects. And so we've taken a look at a few ideologies, ideas, and things like that. So please join the channel, sign up, don't be afraid to subscribe, and like, share. That helps our little channel out to grow. And most of all, we appreciate you guys as our audience. You're a great audience, and you can really tell that when you were a Jehovah's Witness, it was because you loved people. You wanted to help people. And then when you found out that the religion wasn't quite what we thought it was, we get out, we still feel that way. We're not different on the inside. We still love people. We still want to help people. And that's what I find on the chats, on the comments. You guys as the audience really help a lot of people so that we don't have to do a lot of work. And there's a lot of people. Some people are angry. Some people are confused. But you guys really help them out. You go on and explain things and help them to get to know the community. So keep up the good work. We're all in this together, and I think it's exciting times ahead. I think we are in here for the most exciting part of this journey. So hang on and enjoy the ride. And until next time, keep living your life with love.
I wanna take you around the world so I can show you that you're perfect. Take you to my old hood where I hit my first lick. Take you around places that show you what she's cooking. Take you to my daddy's house and show you what he's smoking. Take you to my siblings too and show you all the things we do for you, yeah. Now come and ride, baby. Come and take a ride. Tell me that you're gonna ride. Come and ride with me, hey. Now take a ride, baby. Come and take a ride, baby. Come and take a ride. Come and take a ride with me. Hey, I wanna take you down 85 Dracos in the backseat, watching how we bust and have 'em running like a track meet. Take you down 20 Roddy racing in the 70 lane. Hey, I wanna take you uptown where places you ain't never been. Take you downtown cause you know I like to get it in. Paint the town red, me and you doing what we do. It's true. Now come and take a ride. Baby, ride. Come and take a ride with me. Now can you ride, baby? Come and take a ride. Come and take a ride. Baby, take a ride. Baby, come and take a ride. Come and ride with me. Take a ride. Baby, come and take a ride. Baby, come and take a ride. Come and take a ride with me. Yeah. Ride through the backwoods, through the streets, ride through your neighborhoods with my peeps. Ride.